Okay. All right. Mic check. How's the sound coming through? How's the sound coming through? Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Turn all this off. Good evening. Loud and clear. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Real Nathan Daly. As you know, I'm your law enforcement translator, you guys. It's been a minute since we did a live stream. I've been so busy. I've been all over the place. I dropped a couple videos here and there. But this is a live stream, one that we haven't done in a while since some of that other crazy stuff taking place. As you guys start rolling in, welcome back. Welcome to all my members, moderators, subscribers, those who are new who will be catching this. Thank you. It is an amazing time. A lot of interesting stuff taking place. This video might be drowned out because of the war that's taking place over in Israel. So, you guys just keep everybody in your prayers. Everybody has a side for whatever reason. At the end of the day, it's war. There are no winners, right? There are no winners. So despite how you feel, just keep those people in your prayers. That's all that we can do from this distance. It's very tragic, very sad, kind of what's taking place over in that region of the world and other places just in general. So you guys, listen, tonight we have a very interesting topic. I came across this incident last week and started just kind of watching it to kind of see what information is going to come out. And then, they released a picture of the suspect / victim, however you want to put him in what category, KeianWoods. If I'm pronouncing his name properly, I believe he's 24 years old. I'm going to give you the background story. You guys saw the photo on the thumbnail. Absolutely crazy. Now, pictures are worth 1,000 words, is what they say. Oh, there's a lot of words in this image. It makes you wonder what actually happened. You guys, this was an interaction between law enforcement and Mr. Woods. So there's a lot going on. And oftentimes, as you know, how the media can do it, how the police can do it, it's hard to even trust what you get from the police, trust what you get from the media, trust what you get from attorneys and things like that. Sometimes we have to just look at it for ourselves and analyze it. You guys, luckily, you have a 13-year law enforcement veteran here, one that's fair and impartial and will just give you the facts as they are presented to us. Now, we don't have the entire story, but the video tells a very good, is a good explanation as to what took place. The question on everybody's mind when it comes to a case like this, when you see a person battered through a police encounter, the first thing you say is, okay, well, damn, was this necessary? Is this excessive? Right? People look at the photo, both of his eyes are completely blocked. They're swollen. His face is swollen. Looks like he was in the ring with Mike Tyson. Right? And so you're looking at this and it makes you wonder, was this excessive force? You guys, I'm going to give you my honest and expert opinion. And it's crazy. This is out of Florida. For those who know, I also am contracted as an expert witness for police policy and procedures and use of force as well. And so this is right up my alley, you guys. And so often in cases like this, officers with expert knowledge and experience and training are hired by the courts, whether it's on the defense or whether it's on the state, the prosecuting side, to speak towards police policies and procedures in order to get the jury to in order to help the jury have a better understanding as to what they're looking at. So you guys are lucky. You got me for free. So I get to give you this insight. Listen, for those who are new to the channel, please take the time out to follow me on the following social platforms at Real Nathan Daly. You can find me on YouTube, of course, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm trying to get on Twitter. I can't. Struggling on Twitter. But you guys can find me there. So please, if you're new to the channel, jump on there. You guys, I'm going to give you some game tonight. We're going to have a very interesting conversation. And then I'll also open the lines up for those who might have a disagreement with what I'm going to present tonight. And listen, there's a couple of different things involved in this particular case. Is that one, the suspect is black. The officers are white. So right then and there, we already have that racial dynamic that we are very well aware of in this country. So that's one. Two, we have a suspect who allegedly committed a crime and he fled from the police, right? That cannot be understated, right? You know, over here on this channel, we do facts over feelings. And on this channel, I always say comply to survive. What does that mean? Because I've had to debate people on this topic, on that phrase. And a lot of times, you guys, what I'm referring to is when you are wrong, right? As a citizen and you've committed a crime or you're being accused of a crime and you're caught, right? Your hands here, the officers are giving you a lawful command. You guys, it's always in your best interest to comply, right? We don't hold court on the street. That's my advice for you as an expert. Don't hold court on the street. Ask for a supervisor if you need to, but do not resist, right? Cooperate, however you like it. Some people don't like the word resist. Well, then cooperate. And then file your complaint. And then file your lawsuit if there's a violation. And then collect your check at the end of the rainbow, like a lot of other people do. You guys, police brutality and excessive force and police violating people's rights is not exclusive to Black people. And so part of this channel is here to unveil a lot of those myths and misconceptions, right? That have been embellished through the media, the propaganda, the disinformation that's been put out. And so we just have an honest conversation over here, and we're going to have one in reference to this case as well. Was this excessive force? What is excessive force? Are the officers wrong? Is the suspect wrong? Who's at fault? And then what happens next, you guys? That's what we're going to cover in this conversation. I'm going to break this story down, how it was released to the media and how all this thing transpired. This started from a cell phone video. Thank God for the freelance journalists that are active in this country today. I mean, our everyday citizens who are picking up cell phones and recording these incidents. So we have a very, so that we get multiple, I guess you would say, a multiple view of what took place, right? We know every video only tells a part of the story. Well, this particular cell phone video was recorded by a passerby who saw the, I guess you would say, the tail end of the altercation between Mr. Woods and the police. And they filmed it and they released it on social media. And of course, a lot of people got upset, rightfully so. But again, you know how that goes. These videos get leaked. People don't really know the context of it. And if you don't properly look at the context, of course, you can take things out of context. Is this one of those situations? We'll see. We'll see. But before we even get to any of the videos, I have to say this, you guys. Warning, this is graphic, right? This is graphic videos that we're playing tonight. More than likely, you know, this is going to be eventually age-restricted video, but you know, we are here to break down and analyze the body cam footage. So with that, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into that because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to play the clip. Well, I'm going to play the clip, and then I will play the actual, I'm playing the cell phone clip first. Then we're going to play the actual body cam encounter, how this happened, and then I'll give you the backstory. Matter of fact, shout out to my brother right here. Another officer. Yeah, bruises were not from. He said, no, bruises were not from no damn fall. They did a horrible job expelling the video edit. Yes, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. It's from another officer who witnessed that as well, saying the same thing. Were the officers wrong? Were the officers right? You guys, we're gonna talk about it. Let me give you a backstory as to what happened. I'm gonna go ahead and look at this article real quick. Then I'm gonna break down. Well, let's play the video first, and then I'll go to the article. And that way you can see how everything transpired. So let's do the video first. Let me play the video. All right, let's do it. Okay. So this video is what was leaked through social media. This is how this whole thing went viral. And everybody started asking, what happened to Woods? They saw his face. They're like, oh, hell no, right? His face, unacceptable. You guys, his face, one could argue, looked like mine after my accident, right? This was his face. Okay, so let's be clear. That is his face after the officers got done beating the mess out of him. This is what he looked like. Both eyes? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You guys, I'm be honest with you, that's unacceptable, you know, based on these circumstances. We're going to talk about it. Here's the video.
Okay.
Can't find it. Oh, they got it.
Stop right here. Stop right
here. You can't see nothing right here.
I see everything. Just stop right here.
Okay.
Shit.
Damn it.
Got the video.
So they're in the process right here, you guys. They're handcuffing him.
Pull right here and stop, please.
You tell this old couple. She cursing them out the whole video.
Oh my God.
Will you stop?
I'm stopping. Damn, baby, you suck.
Brother. Pray for this brother.
We missed all the action when we was punching him.
I ain't missed shit. I got it.
All right, this Jacksonville Yankees.
So
I missed the beating up. That's crazy. They won't beat no more now.
okay, that right there, that slam.
Oh, they gonna block.
So he's already handcuffed, you guys. People are seeing that video of the officer picking up and slamming him. We don't know why, but we do know he's in handcuffs. And by law and by policy, that's not appropriate, right? So be curious to hear what the officer's reasoning was for that. But let's keep going. I'm going to show you the next part. This is the video.
Oh, they got a shoe. I'm one of the Peppers in there. I think his name Jeff Peppers. He likes to beat people. Let's see if he's bleeding. I can't get no closer. I can't get no more on him. He beat up. Can't get up. Oh my God. That's what happens. I got the stick in my...
All right. Another thing is, I want you guys to remember these two gentlemen. These two gentlemen are key for this breakdown right now. I want you to remember these two gentlemen. I'm going to describe them as the one with the tattoo on his left arm. That's the gentleman on the right wearing the navy blue pants. He's going to have a tattoo, a sleeve on his left arm, right? He's important. I'm going to break that down, explain to you why. The gentleman on the left side with the gray pants, and it looks like a dark, probably like a dark gray shirt with his hat turned backwards. He's also a very important officer for you to remember. I'm explaining to you why. I'm going to reference him by the officer in the gray pants. The gray pants officer and the navy blue pants officer. These two officers are key for this breakdown, and I'm going to explain to you why. All right. These guys right here are probably going to be charged. I would charge these two officers. All right. So I want you to remember them, because these officers, if I'm investigating this, I'm charging these two, and I'm going to explain to you why. All right. So this is what happens. The passerby is filming this and then sees his face all bloody.
He trying to block it.
All right, so this video ended up going viral because the officer here did some little spin move and threw his leg around. Social media was like, hey, he just kicked this guy. You guys, I slowed this down a lot of different angles. I don't think he got kicked, right? It looks like it. I don't think he got kicked. But that's what the rumor was.
You got his face, baby.
In this video. For you guys to see it again. Let me just see if this.
He trying to block it.
All right. So I think from the angle, it could be perceived that he was kicked. But from what I saw, kind of slowing it down, I saw another angle. He was not kicked. All right. So what happened was this video, people played and said, hey, look at this guy's face. The officers battered him. The officers slammed him on the ground while he was in handcuffs, which is unacceptable, right? Unless you can provide some context as to what was going on, the reason why that was necessary. Outside of that, you guys, you can't do that, right? That's just what it is. So that spin move where you saw the leg go out, he did not kick him. at least from the vantage point that I've seen from another angle, it did not appear. It looks like it. So a lot of people were saying that's how this thing took off, along with his face being battered. All right. So um this is the video that sparked it all. Let me give you the backstory as to how we got here. Okay. So let me remove this. Let's go to the article. What happened, right? What are the police saying happened? You guys, this all started from a drug investigation by the gang unit, Jacksonville Sheriff's Gang Unit. They were investigating some drug activity, I guess, amongst the gang. And so they are doing surveillance at a gas station with this truck, the truck that has Lakeem, Mr. Woods in it. Mr. Woods is the passenger, front seat passenger. He's not the driver. And then there's also one back seat passenger. The gang unit are undercover in unmarked vehicles doing surveillance at the gas station. All right. So according to this article, it'll break down kind of what the charges are, so forth and so on. All right. So let's see. This incident, you guys, happened September 29th. This is again talking about how they were conducting their investigation. So, well, I already know the story. Let me just tell you the story. So this is what happened. This is what happened. Let me give the story. On the 29th, the gang unit is watching and surveillancing this alleged drug activity. They watch Mr. Woods, according to them, allegedly. He gets out the vehicle. He approaches another vehicle at the gas station. They notice that there's some bulge in his pocket. They do some type of an exchange. He then exchanges for money. He goes back. He starts counting. I'm assuming they have the evidence to support this. Of course, I've done undercover operations before, and we have the equipment to zoom in and things of that nature and record sound. So I'm assuming they have these things. This is what they are putting out. They are stating that he's counting money, that he's conducting a deal, that they know this was some type of a drug interaction. Then the vehicle that Mr. Woods is in, they actually drive off, right? What the detectives end up saying from the gang unit is that the driver was not wearing his seatbelt, right? So this is something that they're testifying to. That is what they call or consider their probable cause for the traffic stop, right? The seatbelt, whether you like it or not, right? That it's legit. There's no seatbelt. You can give somebody a ticket for it. So they pull them over for a seatbelt violation after conducting this investigation that they believe to be a drug transaction. Okay, so then what happens? The driver refused to stop. So they lead the police on to this long, I guess you would say, kind of, I don't know, it was a low speed chase, but they eventually make it into an apartment complex and it dead ends. And at that point, the officers get out of the vehicle with their guns out and they conduct what we call a felony traffic stop, meaning guns are out. They're ordering people's hands out the window, cut the vehicle off, step out, walk backwards. Do you have any weapons? Is there any drugs? All right. So now after all of that, you guys, what did they end up finding? They ended up taking the driver out of the vehicle. They detained the driver. The backseat passenger got out the vehicle, walked back, and cooperated. They found a pistol on the actual passenger in the backseat. He had a gun on his person. He was detained. He was arrested. They sat him down on the ground. They then tried to get Mr. Woods out of the vehicle. He's in the front passenger side. He decides to run. He runs, you guys. That's how it all went down. And then the officer chased after him. Okay, what they find inside the vehicle, they found narcotics, right? There were narcotics in the vehicle. What kind of narcotics? Let's take a look. Cocaine, amphetamine, some controlled substance they charge him with. Well, this is what they charged Mr. Woods with. Let me just tell you what they charged him with. They charged him with resisting arrest with violence, armed trafficking cocaine, armed trafficking amphetamine, armed possession of a controlled substance, tampering with evidence, and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. That's a lot. I don't know. They didn't say what specific type of drugs, but we know cocaine is in there. Okay, so They have it. That's what was in. I believe they said it was possibly in the back seat. I don't know. But I don't know why they charged Mr. Woods with it versus the other suspects in the vehicle. They didn't get charged with any of the drug charges. I think that's interesting. I don't know if Mr. Woods admitted that these were his drugs. I don't know if another one of the other suspects in the vehicle stated that the drugs belonged to Mr. Woods. The problem with the arm charge is that the gun was found on the backseat passenger, which I think is weird that he has the gun, but Mr. Woods is being charged with the gun. I digress. I don't know. I'm not privy to the details of how all this fact finding took place. I'm just telling you what he was charged with. I'm telling you who had the gun. I don't know if he passed the gun and he gave his statement and told the officer that Woods passed him the gun and told him to conceal it. I don't know. I'm just telling you what he was charged with. So those are his charges. That's how it went down, according to the police. Now let's play the video. The first video I'm going to play is the actual initial beginning part of the traffic stop. All right, so let's take a look at that. The beginning part of the traffic stop. Here we go. Again, you guys, this is a graphic video. All right, so just before we get into that graphic video, I'm gonna play it out. I'm gonna play the first 10 minutes. We're gonna go over it. I'm gonna play the second. I'm gonna play the second side of I'm gonna play another body cam footage, and then we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you my thoughts. All right, so just so we're all clear how we're gonna put all this together. Warning, graphic video. So this is the initial traffic stop. All right.
35-4.
Let me see your hands. All y'all's hands. Turn the truck off.
Yeah, 335.
Let me see your hands, driver.
Yeah, freedom crossing.
Call it out. Yeah.
HJ 707. Give us 1033 for just a minute. We're doing a felony takedown in Kensington Square apartment.
8202.
Oh, yeah, that's 1033. 707 is going to be 8204 Kensington Square. Oh. Hey, man. Hey.
Hey, Chief, we got one running, all black, all black. Don't you fucking move. Hey, show me your hands, driver.
All right. At this point right here, Mr. Woods took off. All right. So this is the point where Mr. Woods ran. You guys, he's not allowed to leave. All right. So let's just be clear on that. He's not allowed to leave. He runs. So let's keep going, see how this whole thing unfolded with the rest of the driver and the passenger.
Show me your hands. All black, black hoodie, black pants. I got like 3 here, so. Hey, we'll do an L formation on them so I can see who else is in the car. Who else is in the car? Who else is in the car? Nobody?
Where they at?
Yeah, there's 2. Comfortable pulling them out? Huh? Do what? You have a gun on you? Okay, well, if you drop, I appreciate you telling me. But if you drop your hands, you're going to get shot. Do you understand?
Ooh.
All right, so keep your hands there. Red shirt, do you have a gun on you? Okay, being that you don't have a gun, you're going to stay put where you're at, okay? Do not move. All right? On the outside of the door, open the door. Do not tuck your hands below the door.
So this is very standard.
Keep your hands up.
All right.
Thank you for telling me.
There you go. The
Last name Wilson? You Raymond? Okay. Just keep your hands up. I see the gun. Walk to me. Do not drop your hands. You understand? You have lethal. I got hands on.
This
All
is
right. Don't drop your hands.
928 to the Zone District 3 Task Force units. Can y'all give us some updates? Do y'all need us to move normal direction of travel? K9 air unit.
all right. So the officer pulled the gun from his waistband. All right. The subject was very honest. This is how it works. Hey, listen, I got a gun on me, officer. I don't want no problems. He's like, cool, I appreciate you. Listen, this brother is being detained. He's not being hurt. He's not being injured. He's not getting shot. You know, this is what cooperation looks like. This is what complying looks like. So I just want to make sure I point that out.
You got the 0? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, 537. I'm in the area.
Sit down on the ground for me. You got anything else? All right. How old are you? Okay, sit down. Cross your legs. Cross your legs. All right. Hey, we can walk him back to me.
Now they're getting the driver out of the vehicle.
Don't drop your hands. Keep your hands up. Turn around. You got a cuff. I'll bring your hands behind you. Hey Ray, don't sit back on them cuffs. All right, I gotta lock them.
You guys, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Did your brother run? Is that your brother? Oh shit, my bad, man. My bad. Put your hands together like you're praying. Like they're praying.
746 here. Still in Kensington Square. Chasing. Where are you? Give us an update.
All right. So that's it. That's the initial stop. Right. Nothing to see here. Right. This is very straightforward. The officers ordered both of them out the vehicle. Both of them complied. The passenger in the back had a firearm on his person. And listen, you guys, he was arrested without incident. Why? Because he cooperated. He cooperated. And what's funny is I don't even think he was charged with anything. According to the news article, the guy in all black with the gun wasn't even charged with no crime. The driver was charged with marijuana and a traffic ticket and not wearing a seatbelt. You see what I'm saying? Like this is how this thing concluded for them. For them. The driver gets a ticket. He gets charged with possession of marijuana, and the guy with the gun didn't get charged at all. 2 black men who cooperated. I talk about it all the time, you guys. So now let's get into the meats and potatoes of this, right? Let's look at the other interaction from the perspective of the officer who actually chased Mr. Woods, right? We're going to see a different interaction. And this is where it gets very interesting. We're going to break down the officer's actions. We're going to break down Mr. Woods' actions. And we're going to put context to these charges and whether or not the officers were justified. Was this excessive force? Was it excessive force? And then I'm going to break down and explain to you what the force levels are, how they are defined, and what an officer's response to each level of force. So you guys have a better understanding. All right, so let's take a look at this. Warning, graphic video. All right, so this is the officer who chased after Mr. Wood.
Roll down all the windows.
Yeah, 335, signal for 9090 Hills Highway, Holiday Nursery, Lima 1.
Yeah, 335, 1051, Phillips, and Freedom Crossing.
You want to take 33 for a minute? HQ 8707, give us 1033 for just a minute. We're doing a felony takedown in Kensington Square Apartments.
Oh, yeah, that's 1033.
8707 is going to be 8204 Kensington Square. Yep. Hey, man. Hey. You're fucked. You're fucked. You are so fucked.
All black. Black hoodie, black pants.
Damn. Sorry about that. All right, let's commercial break. Anyways, let's get back to someone said there's a way to like fix that. I have no idea. But anyways, sorry about that. So where are we at so far, you guys? He runs. All right, he runs. This is the first step in resisting an arrest. When you are in a traffic stop, you guys, let me just say this: you are not free to leave until you're dismissed by the officers. All right. So right here and there, this is where we are. He's running.
I'm gonna tase you. I'm gonna tase you. Try to get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Where they at?
Greg, stay on your stomach. Put your hands behind your back. You're gonna get it again. You're gonna get it again. Put your hands behind your back.
Warning, graphic video.
Hey,
Kensington Square.
you heard me?
Yeah.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Keep them back.
I don't even got nothing.
Put your hands behind your back.
They're behind me. I don't even got to. Stop chasing me for.
You're gonna get tased here.
All right.
920 Zone District 3 Task Force units.
Give me your hand.
Y'all give us some updates. Y'all
Behind your back, goddammit.
direction of travel.
All right, let me get up
Stay on
and go.
it.
All right.
Put your hand behind your back.
All right, man. All right, boy.
Get fuckers over in the area.
Get your hands behind your back.
Hey, she was chasing the
Give me that hand. Give me that hand. Give me that hand. Hey. Hey. Give it. Give it. Give it a hand. I can't get it. Give it a hand. Ow. You're still fighting. Give it a hand. Give it a fucking hand. Give it a hand. Hey, still pulling. Still pulling. Give me your hand. Yeah, give me. Fuck you, he's still fighting. You got it. There we go. Here comes on. Here comes. You got it? No. Nope.
Give me your hand.
All right. So that is the probably 90% of the interaction. Okay. So the officers, after all that, finally were able to get the handcuffs on him. We're gonna go back to this video. Before I break down this and we start slowing things down, I'm gonna show you the last video. So the officer who came to assist the officer who was chasing him, what you saw him do was he came into the scene with a flying knee kick to his face. You guys, you can't do that, right? You can't do that. Under these circumstances, you can't do that. So let's look at this next video. And this one's a shorter clip, but I want to show you where all of Mr. Woods' injuries came from. Okay, so you saw this first one. This is the body cam footage that I'm about to show you from the officer who the second officer. We're watching the body cam footage from the second officer who came on the scene with the knee strikes. Then there's a third officer who came on the scene, and the third officer delivered elbow strikes to Mr. Woods' head. All right. Play this one. And just so we can get a clear understanding as to what happened.
Did the right thing. Based on the currently
All right. That was
the sheriff's office says right now they believe
that was quick, but I just wanted you to see that. We're gonna end up slowing this down though. Third officer on the scene, and this is his response. Okay. 4 elbows, I believe. 3 elbows to the face. All right. There's a reason why I'm showing that so we're all clear as to what happened. All right. Now let's go back to, we're going to slow this down. We're going to slow all this down. I'm going to give you my thoughts real quick on the violations and what I saw. Okay. The 2 cops I talked about earlier that I wanted you to remember. Officer, navy blue pants, officer with the gray pants. The officer in the navy blue pants is the second officer on the scene who came in with the knee strikes. You guys, let's be clear. Okay, let's be clear. Let me be completely honest with you. As officers, we have a lot of leverage. We have a lot of leadway to use force to gain compliance, to use force to put people into custody. But that force has to be what we call objectively reasonable, meaning that the force has to match the level of force that's being presented, the level of resistance that's being presented against the officer. That goes all the way to what we call passive resistance, active resistance, and then physical resistance, or some will say like an aggressive resistance. You guys, these are the 3 main resistance categories. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that, and then we're going to slow this video down. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts. What does that mean? You guys, when a suspect is passively resisting, it means that they're not cooperating with you. They're under arrest and they're not cooperating, right? You want to put them in handcuffs and then their body goes limp, right? You want to pick them up and they're dropping their body weight. And they're not cooperating with you, right? They're laying on their hands, right? And they're not fighting, they're not resisting, but they're laying on their hands and they don't want you to get their hands. They're curling up in a ball, right? They're tucking their head. That's passive resistance. Active resistance is when you are trying to escape, right? You're trying to escape, you're trying to get away. The officer's grabbing your hands, you're trying to snatch it back, but you're not assaulting and you're not attacking the officer. You're simply trying to do whatever you can to free yourself from the officer's grasp, right? You don't want to be apprehended. That is an active resistance, right? You're really just trying to escape. You guys, in this particular case with Mr. Woods, right? Was he passively resisting or was he actively resisting? The other one is, was this an aggressive resistance? Was this a physical resistance? Was this like an assault resistance? No, it wasn't. That level means that he is actively fighting and assaulting the police officers in hopes of trying to get away, right? Physically fighting the officers. We know just by looking at that video, he never assaulted the police. From the ones that we're looking at the same video, right? You guys, listen, I'm not biased. I'm going to tell you how it is. What did we just watch? We watched a suspect who was running away from the police. That's what we saw, which is it's illegal to do that, right? He was under arrest or he was being detained and he fled from the traffic stop. You guys, you cannot do that. What else did we see? We see the officer shoot him with the taser. And what did he do? He fell where? On his face, you guys. He fell on his face. That's going to account for a lot of that front damage to his mouth. You see his mouth was bleeding very bad. Very bad. I'm going to show you where the rest of his injuries came from. All right. But I want to break down this resistance level so you understand when we slow this video down. And I want you to tell me if you see him actively resisting or physically resisting the police. Physically, or we say assaulting the police. He never, from the video I've watched, and I watched a lot of different angles of what they put out. And here, mind you, let me tell you how disingenuous the police department is, the sheriff's department. They put out all the videos except for the ones involving the officers who were doing the assaulting. They put out all the videos of the officers except for the ones who were actually violating his rights. You guys, is this excessive force? Absolutely 100% excessive force. Why? When we slow this video down, you're going to see. I'm going to point it out. Passive, active, aggressive resistance. There was no aggressive resistance. The level of force they used is only applicable for an aggressive resistance, you guys. That's a fact. I have bloodied many people in this profession. I have broken bones, lacerated lips, you name it, you guys. I've done it. I've closed eyes, closed mouths, I've swollen face. I've done the same thing. But they were assaulting me, assaulting someone else. They were armed. They were dangerous. They were actively assaulting or trying to take the life of myself or someone else. You guys, that is the only time that level of force is considered appropriate. So this is where we are. He was actively resisting. What was he doing? He wasn't giving his arms. He wasn't complying. He wasn't complying with the commands. He wasn't complying. All right. So let's slow this down. Let's go through the video, and I'm going to point out where the officers violated him. Where they violated him. So we're doing it in slow motion, you guys. Here's the thing. Right now, everything where we are right now, you guys, this is textbook. Okay, the officer, he's free and clear. This is justified. He shoots him with the taser. He falls flat on his face. You know, the danger with that taser is if you fall where you fall. You fall where you fall. So he falls on his face. You already know a lot of that when you see him, when the officer flips him over, you start seeing all the blood. That first facial contact comes from striking the asphalt. All right. Let's see where the rest of those injuries came from. All right. So one of the things I'll point out in this is what's going to be properly examined is okay, well, let me say this. What's the issue in this situation from an officer safety perspective that you guys need to understand? The officers don't know if this suspect is armed, right? You don't know. You're investigating gang or drug activity. There is a possibility that he's armed. We treat everybody like they're armed. So the officers are right when wanting to make sure they can detain him quickly and as safely as possible for their safety. They are absolutely correct. Whether you like it or not, you guys, that's the reality. The truth of the matter in this moment, they want his hands. They want his hands behind his back as quickly as possible because they do not know if he's armed or not. And you can't gamble. You can't take any chances. You can't guess whether he is or isn't. You have to comply and cooperate. One could argue, though, that fall hitting his head may have messed up his awareness. That's a fact, right? That's something that has to be taken in consideration. Is it possible that by him striking his face on the pavement, that he isn't really all there in the moment? That's true. You guys, he could have suffered a concussion in that moment. As an officer who's dealing with these situations, you guys, you cannot get lost in the moment. This is a fact. You have to be aware. Your situational awareness has to be keen. It has to be sharp. Meaning you could be giving him commands and he's completely delirious, not because doesn't want to cooperate, but because he probably has a concussion. So being able to distinguish between the difference between someone who's not cooperating versus one who's physically trying to assault you is very, very critical, because your response to the response that they are giving you is very, very important, because you can make a decision as an officer simply because you misinterpreted the situation at the scene. And that is clearly what took place in this case right here. The officers didn't recognize the fact that this suspect was just simply physically resisting the arrest, and he was actively resisting the arrest. He wasn't physically resisting the arrest, meaning he wasn't attacking them. He just wasn't. He's ordering him over. He says, get over, put your hands behind your back. You hear Mr. Woods say, okay, right? He says, okay, but he's still not really getting it all together. Okay, I understand that. This is where the officer's training and ability to physically restrain people without using excessive force is supposed to come in. The problem, you guys, is that a lot of officers aren't trained well at all to physically be able to detain someone without using force. And right there, you saw him punch him in the face. One could argue, for what? For what? It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. So in the situation here, what do you see? Right? You see the officer, he's dealing with someone who already ran from him. And you guys, listen, there's a potential that he could run again, right? There's a potential that he has a gun or a weapon in his waistband or inside his underwear somewhere. This is true. And all this moving around, it poses a potential threat to the officer. That is a fact, 100%. At the same time, it doesn't mean you can beat the dog shit out of a citizen. You have to be skilled enough to detain someone under the circumstances that they are presenting in the moment. You can't use a level of force to satisfy the what-ism or what about, what if, or what if this, what if that. That's not how the game goes. So far, we've seen no physical resistance. There's no assault. So far, no assault. The officer has already punched him in the face. For him actively resisting. And one could argue that he's just not cooperating. His face hit the asphalt. It looked like he's not all the way there. He's been tased and he's just not cooperating. The officer punched him in the face so far, one time in the face. All right. This is the initial officer. Here we go. So right here, the officer says, give me your hands. Right. This is how I could tell this Mr. Woods is completely out of it. He goes, here's my hand right here. And the officer's like, no, fool, behind your back. He's telling him, put your hands behind your back. You guys, I think the head injury has him a little disoriented. Maybe. So now he's starting to look like he's trying to get up. He's trying to move again. This is a problem. As an officer, you have to know how to use your body weight. You have to know how to do joint manipulations. You have to know how to hold on to, look, again, punch them again. That's 2 punches in the face. All right. And you see how bloody his face is. Now, here's the problem. This is officer and the navy blue pants. You guys, this is the issue right here. This is the first issue. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts on who should get arrested, which officer should get charged, right? But this is what's going on. Here we go. Let me pull it up closer so y'all can see. Slow motion. The second officer shows up on the scene, you guys. He gets busy. He gets straight to it. He jumps in and immediately starts kneeing him in the face. Let me be clear on this, right? So far, what do we have? We have a suspect who is not physically resisting the officers with a level of assault force against the officers. He has not assaulted the police yet, right? Meaning all he's doing is not cooperating. And this officer, the second officer, shows up and immediately starts kneeing him on the left side of his face. This is my left side, according to the camera. The left side of his face. He knees him in the face 4 times. This guy, you would have thought he was an MMA fighter. Absolutely lost control. You guys absolutely lost control. Here we go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. He kneed him 4 times in the face. Guys, he's wrong. I don't know what the hell the sheriff was talking about. The sheriff for this police department, I don't know what he was talking about. It looked like everything was done by policy. What? Wow. And people wonder why folks have an issue trusting the police. Need him 4 times in the face because he wasn't cooperating. You guys, listen, I've need people all over the place. These people were trying to take my life, right? There's a difference. There's a difference. I've headbutted people. I've kneed people. I've kicked people in the groin. You guys, I was fighting for my life, right? This is not the same. Again, the level of force, this is not reasonable force. This is excessive. What is stopping this same officer from simply either locking his head between his legs, pulling his arms from? But look how big he is. I'm not saying it's not that it's not difficult. It's not that it's not difficult to restrain somebody, but there are handcuffing techniques, there are defensive tactic techniques that these officers could have used without having to do that. I'm just telling you how the training is, or how it's supposed to be carried out according to the law and according to policy. That's not what we see here. What we see here is an officer going beyond the scope of the job. Simply because someone wasn't cooperating. You guys, it doesn't work like that. This is a Fourth Amendment violation. Easy. All right. This is officer with the navy pants. 4 knees to the face. So then, for some reason, they still cannot get this guy, Mr. Woods, in handcuffs because they're too busy beating the shit out of him. If they focused some of that effort into actually overpowering him, you guys, they could have handcuffed him. And I'm going to show you why I believe that. I'm going to show you why. But going a little further in this video, you have the actual officer who chased him. starts to punch him in the back of the head like 3 times. He's already punched him twice in the face for no legitimate reason. And then you're going to see him deploy some hand strikes to the back of his head. Was it necessary? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let me tell you, the officers had everything they needed in order to get compliance from Mr. Woods. They had one hand. You guys, you know what I could do with one hand? Give me one hand on anybody and watch how well I get you to comply. You guys, there's enough nerves between this thumb and this finger right here to get all the complying I need from you. You have nerves, you have pressure points, right? You can do joint manipulations, right? On the elbow, on the shoulder. There's so much you can do. The body is a puzzle treasure trove of pain compliance. There's so much you can do with someone who is just resisting arrest without any physical violence towards the officer. And for the officers not being able to distinguish between the two is the problem. Shout out to Dre. Dre said on the wrist. On the wrist alone. And you got these two brolic guys souped up on adrenaline who can't handle one suspect who's resisting arrest. It's sad, but it also is a reflection of the problem in policing. Now we have the third officer shows up because the first two just couldn't get it together. But here's the problem. Look where his arms are at, right? Mr. Woods' arms. You see the guy with the tattoo? That's the officer with the blue pants. That's the one who gave him 4 knees to the left side of his face. Well, then, cuckoo, here comes officer number 3. This is the one with the gray shirt and the gray pants. You guys, he delivers 3 elbows to not the left side of his face, but to the right side of his face. To the right side of his face. While they have both of his hands, they have control of his arms. They have complete control over his arms. So let's play it. This is the video that they did not release. They didn't release this full video because this is the body cam perspective from the officer who was throwing the damn flying knees. Watch this. Look where they have both his arms. The officers have both of his arms. 3 able-bodied police officers have his arms. And so then they decide to do what? You guys, at this point, he hasn't been physically attacking the officers. So why are they striking him in this manner? I don't know. Look at this. They have his arms. Watch this. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Not only is he pinning down his shoulder, look at where his arms are. What a wasted, you can't gain compliance like that. These officers don't know what they're doing. See, it's easier to punch somebody, right? They don't know how to do their job. I think it's safe to say that these officers are not trained or they just do what they want to do. But there's no justification for this. The knee is on knees on his neck. I always hate saying that because it always refers back to George Floyd. Well, the knee's on his neck. That within itself is not necessarily a problem. The elbow strikes are. Why? Because at what point is he a threat? So we put our knee and start elbowing people in the face because they don't want to put their hands behind their back? Whew. I'm gonna tell you, I love the police. But y'all better be damn sure glad I'm not an attorney. Because I'd be dragging y'all. The bad ones. I'd be dragging the bad ones. You guys, look what he did. 3 elbows to the face with a knee on the neck, and he's not even assaulting anybody. One guard, he can't even protect us. He can't do anything. He can't do anything. 1, 2, 3. Look, and the officer takes his hand. The officer's not even, the funny thing is, the officer's not even making any effort to even get his hands. You guys, listen. The officer's not making any effort. You guys, you lucky. Don't put me on the stand. They don't want to see me there. Someone shout out to this man's attorney. Listen, I just finished the case. You guys, I still got a case, but I can multitask. You can hire me. And I'm certified in Florida. Put me on the stand. You don't want to put me on the stand as an expert witness for the defense. The state's going to look real bad. You can't justify this, you guys. You cannot justify this. You guys, this is negligence. This is excessive force. And it was unnecessary. What do we have here? I'm going to be quite honest with you. We have a violation of Mr. Woods' Fourth Amendment rights. A violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. Period. You guys, this was excessive. This was beyond excessive. What does it look like? This looks like aggravated battery on a citizen. And according to the sheriffs, the officer didn't do anything wrong based on what they saw. I don't know where he got that from, you guys. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not how I was trained. That's not what the law says we can do. And that's not what policy says is acceptable. Period. There's no way around that. Then you had the fourth officer. He showed up. He put handcuffs on and kept pushing. He kept it pushing. Was this excessive force? You're damn right it was. You're damn right. I'm trying to figure out how they came to the conclusion that it wasn't. How they do it? The sheriff's department is looking to protect and defend the officers. And you know what? To be quite honest, you guys, right is right, wrong is wrong. And where we do police a disservice is when we are not honest when the police are wrong. When they're wrong, you guys. Let me see, where is... When you're wrong, you're wrong. I'm going to take some questions. I want to go through, shout out to the big homie right here. Shout out to Dre. Dre says, police officer's ego. Dude got them blows. 1 for running. Yep. 2 for not complying. Looks like I would be handing down some suspensions as a supervisor, pending charges from the DA's office. Absolutely. Absolutely, Dre, you're absolutely correct. You know, these officers and the supervision from the sheriff, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I heard the sheriff give his speech and I heard a bunch of malarkey. I'm just going to be honest. You know, sometimes you just got to call it what it is. It's one thing in policing. I see some departments still hold on to this old toxic police culture where we're going to defend the officer blindly and we're just not going to be honest and transparent. Listen, we looked at the video. I believe that some of the force that was used was not appropriate. We're still investigating. And once we have all the findings of the investigation, we'll get back to you. The officers are off the road until pending investigation. You know what this joker said? He went on TV and was like, nah, they're back at work because they didn't do nothing wrong. And I don't see any policy violations. And I'm looking at the video. They see the whole video. Just the little clips I put together. I'm like, y'all are crazy to try to think you can pull this off. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Dre is right. What was it? You guys, we don't like chasing after people. I know I didn't. I didn't like chasing, you guys. I hated it. I mean, it was fun. But then when you are pissed, it pisses you off. And listen, you do want to rough them up, but you have to do everything that's reasonable. Everything has to be reasonable. And the majority of people I chased after, the moment I touched them, they're like, all right, officer, you got it. Right? They just throw down, they fall back. Majority of people running from the police just don't want to go to jail. Then you have some that give you a hard time with giving you their hands to put behind your back. I get it. The only people I had to put pause on were people who were trying to put pause on me. That's it. If you were cool, I was cool. If you were violent, I was nasty. Period. Period. I wish I could show you some pictures. But then when you hear the backstory, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know, I saw what he was doing. I had guys put knives on me. Last time I beat someone like that, the joker pulled a knife on me and was actively trying to take my throat, you guys. Actively. And he ended up looking like that. That's a fact. That's a fact. But he was also wanted for 3 counts of homicide. So one could argue that the guy who was trying to kill me in his mind, he felt like he had every reason and justification to try to free his life because he knew he was going away forever. And I was the only thing in his way. You guys, listen. I don't expect you to know how it feels to do this job. Majority of you never been in a situation where someone actually tried to take your life. You wouldn't understand what it feels like to be an officer. At the same time, it doesn't give us an excuse to, without any level of self-control and self-discipline or any discipline of our emotions, take advantage of people simply because we think we can, right? So there's no justification. And just because the job is dangerous, just because the job is hard, just because a job has challenges, does not and is not justification to go beyond the scope of your authority. Period. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's what we saw in this video. I don't know how officers are going to justify that. Any officer who tries to justify that and wants to debate me on it, I'm more than welcome to have the conversation. I'll embarrass you. Because if you are not understanding of the law and of policy, you're wrong. You're wrong. Absolutely wrong. Shout out to T Kings. Yep. Ultimately, what we saw here were officers who are not trained in any form of defensive tactics. Whether they're, and again, this goes back, and it's their fault, at the same, it's not their fault. This is the continued problem with policing. This is the problem with policing. You know, thank you so much for that, brother. Absolutely correct. The most dangerous officer, you guys, I say it all the time, is an officer who cannot fight. An officer who has no training, no defensive tactic skills, is the most dangerous officer on the road. Thank you, daughter of Yah. She said, I saw another video that showed a police punch a handcuffed man whom she said elbowed her in the face. Is that justified? I think hitting a handcuffed person is an unfair advantage. So punch a handcuffed man who said elbowed her in the face. You are not allowed to assault as an officer. You're not allowed to assault a person who's already in handcuffs. They have to be posing a threat. And just because a person is handcuffed doesn't mean they're not a threat. I had a case, one of my training officers who trained me when I first started policing. This is actually good that you brought this example up. Maybe Dre will remember this. This had to maybe been about 6 or 7 years ago. He's an investigator now, and he was transporting a suspect from the jail to the courthouse, right? And this guy is squared. He's good. He trained me, right? So you know he's good if he trained me. And as they're walking with the suspect, his hands were in handcuffs, and he's walking alongside of the officer. And you guys, there's a proper protocol. There's a proper way that we're supposed to walk with suspects that we're transferring or transporting from place to place, even when in their handcuffs, because even in handcuffs, they're dangerous. And you know what this guy did? My training officer, I don't know exactly what position he was, but his partner was escorting the suspect. The suspect took his hands, even in handcuffs, reached over and pulled the gun out of the officer's holster while handcuffed. Mind you, he's already in jail. He's being transported to the court, right? Pulled the gun out of his holster. And then my training officer drew his weapon, saw it, and shot him. You guys, so he's in handcuffs. It doesn't mean he's not dangerous. It just means that he is less of a threat, but he's still a threat nonetheless. Handcuffs does not mean you're not dangerous. I've seen people in handcuffs throw kicks, kick out windows, run in handcuffs. Oh, both detectives are retired. Yeah, shout out to Dre with the intel. Yeah, both are retired. Yeah, I mean, that's the officer. His partner could have died. His partner could have been shot like that. If he was out there by himself, who knows what could have happened? You know, as officers, even when someone's in handcuffs, you don't assume that they're not dangerous. You know, even when I'm escorting people in handcuffs, I'm holding on to the handcuff. we're not going, this ain't prom night. And you're not going to be next to my gun. You're going to be in front of me, and I'm going to be behind you. Because if you do something stupid, your face is hitting the pavement. So depending on that situation, daughter of Yah, and I don't know the full story, but there's a potential that could be justified. You think you're in handcuffs, you know, you got elbows, you still got legs. We've had to hogtie people and put them in cars because they were trying to play Return of the Dragon, you know, with their legs on the officers. So yes and no. I also had a coworker who a suspect spat in his face while he was in handcuffs, and my partner punched him in the face. You guys, he lost his job for that. They're like, we don't care if he spit in your face. That's not justification to punch him. You know? So someone said, Chuck 2 says, Nathan, you should reach out to Roland Martin so you can provide objective commentary. Man, I reach out to these guys. They don't want me over there. I'll try again. But I'm going to tell you why they don't want me over there. Because there are times where they race bait. They race bait and they don't want context. Every white officer who has an encounter with a black citizen is not a racist. And I don't play that game over here, and so they know from looking at my content, and I know people have told me they've watched. There are people who are in that space over there who watch my content, and they absolutely don't want me over there because they're talking to someone who's not paid to tell the people what they want the people to hear in order to get the clicks, you know? And so, but I'll reach out again. I don't mind. I'll go over there and I'll give the proper context to stuff. You guys, listen, I say it all the time. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to be accurate, right? There is a problem in law enforcement. There's a problem in the profession. This is a fact. I don't understand why we just can't be honest about it. And listen, the difference between me and a lot of other people who try to have these conversations, the problem is this. I actually did the job. I've actually got my hands dirty. I've actually did the hard work. I know what it's like to use all levels of force. I've used all levels of force. There's a certain skill set that you have and that you need to have in this profession. The problem is it's being undermined. As anybody can just come and do the job. No, anybody just can't. And if you're not training people properly, then you're gonna have problems. T King said, "I run because some officers need to exercise." Facts, boy. But if they catch you, you're gonna be the real workout dummy, though. And that's the problem. That's the problem. I had a thing where if you ran and I caught you, if you give it up smooth, we good, right? We good. But I've only had a few people who, and you guys heard, if you haven't seen the clip I did about the guy, I showed up at the house. It was a domestic violence case. He just got released from prison, and he looked at me and told me he wasn't going back to jail. And I'm looking at his girl, and she was beat to death. I'm the only one there. And he squared up. He's like, "Man, what's up? If you want to take me to jail, you got to earn it." And as a rookie officer, I'm like, "Well, damn." I'm like, "Sir, why can't you just comply?" And I was young, slim. I was about a buck, 180. Well, I was ready. And you look me in the eye and you a grown man saying, "I'm not going to jail." Okay, well, cool, sir. Guess what I did? I took the gloves out the back pocket. I'm looking at the evidence right here. You beat this woman bad. Sir, you're going to jail. "Oh, I'm not going back to prison." Okay. All right, how you want to do it? People say the easy way, the hard way. No, I just say there's the hard way. When you tell me you're not going back to prison, then I let you know that there's only one way it's going down. I've had to tell people that before. You guys, listen, I'm nice, but I'm nasty. And I've always been this calm. With the most violent offenders, I've always been this calm. Because I was always ready. That guy's, I'm not going to jail. What you gonna do, officer? I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna go to jail. But before we go to the jail, you gotta go to the hospital. And then after you spend 2 days in the hospital, then they're gonna send you to the jail. Then you're gonna spend 2 or 3 days in the jail, sir. Or you could spend 1 day in the jail and you can bond out and go about your business. Those are your options. Either way, you're going to jail. How you want to get there? You can get there through the ambulance, or you can get in the back of the police car. You guys, I didn't play. I had the best reputation, not because I treated people bad, but because I treated people good. Treated people so good that even The criminals would tell the other criminals that, hey, man, nah, man, he cool. Just cooperate. Just cooperate. Yeah, shout out to you. I'm just saying. Shout out to you. You're right. You're right. That was extra. It was unnecessary. It was excessive. It was unlawful. This is a violation of Mr. Woods' Fourth Amendment right. This was excessive force, which is illegal. This is aggravated battery by 2 police officers. One officer delivered 4 knee strikes to the left side of his face. The other officer delivered 3 elbows to the right side of his face. You guys, the only justified use of force on here was that taser. Him falling on his face and damaging his face, you guys, that's fair game. Sorry, not sorry. That's fair game. Don't run. Comply. You know, that's on him. The left and the right eye are on the officers. It is what it is. So who's wrong? The officer who caused the left eye damage, the officer who caused the right eye damage. The officer who tased them and got his whole grill messed up, you guys, that's clear, free and clear. He's good on that. He's good on that. Any questions? We did good. We might do 2 hours tonight. You know, these live streams be long. Any questions, you guys? Any direct questions? Put a Q in front of your comment. I'll pull it up on the screen. Answer any questions, anything. Ask any questions. If anybody disagrees with what I'm saying, anybody has any pushback, I'm only taking disagreements for the sake of time, then you are more than welcome to come up. I will drop the link in the chat. The moderators, if you could post that. If you want to come up, you got to cam up. If you are in disagreement only. What did Dre say? Dre pulled it perfectly. He said, this is look, egos, mad that they're running, not complying. Yeah, they should have been suspended. I would have suspended them with pay. That's fine. It's an investigation until all the investigation comes up. But I would have took them off the road just simply because I think that's the more professional thing to do as leadership, because this got some attention. I would, out of respect for the family and the investigation, pull the officers off the road until the investigation is done. Yeah, and if the evidence doesn't look right, and again, this is just the videos that we saw, right? What did Dre say? Pending charges from the DA's office. So, I think, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Yeah, man, I just like to be honest, man. I just like to be honest. We can't fix this problem if we're going to be dishonest. That's just what it is. That's what I always tell people. We can't fix this problem if we're not going to be honest. And I can find plenty of officers who are not going to agree with what these officers did, and you can find plenty of officers who agree with it. Because unfortunately, there's a culture in policing, you guys, where it's an old way of thinking that because you did not cooperate means that whatever happens, happens. And that is the type of toxic police mentality that needs to be removed out of the culture of policing. What do I mean by that? The old way of saying just because you're a criminal, just because you have a bad past, means that whatever negative outcome befalls upon you is your fault. And that then takes away and absolves all accountability from the police officer's behavior on how they actually conducted their job. So you have police officers who are now who they are removing accountability from, and their justification for it is that this person did something wrong. They committed a crime. They resisted arrest. I don't know what the hell I was saying. Resisted arrest. So because you resisted arrest means that I have the right, the legal right, to beat the dog shit out of you. You guys know that's not what the law says, and that's not what policy says. But you have some officers who believe that, well, if they would have just complied, they would have not had to go through that. Well, two things can be true at the same time. Yes, they should have complied. And yes, you use excessive force. And one does not justify the other. And that's what we have. That's what we see a lot of times when we have these conversations is officers want to justify their bad behavior because of the bad behavior of a citizen. And you guys, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And that excuse needs to end. So let me get some questions in. So, such false. What happened to the Judge Joe Brown interview? Was looking forward to it. I promise you I'm posting it. I'm going to post it next week just for you. Just for you. I'm going to post it. I'm going to post it. It's a long interview, but I'm going to post it next week for you. Shout out to you for calling that out. I'm going to post it. I promise I'm going to post it. As soon as I get on the stream, I'm going to do the thumbnail. And I'm posting it. I'm going to post the Judge Joe Brown interview. I think it's right on time. Election time is here around the corner. Good time to post it. Shout out to you. Says, this may be a silly question, but what does it feel like when you're being tased? It hurts. Not a silly question. It hurts, and you lose all physical control of your body. Complete muscular incapacitation. So Dre said like hell. Matter of fact, I might do y'all something. Hold up. Do I have that video? I might do y'all something because I love y'all. Hold up. I think. Is it? Where is it at? I had a video of me being tased. I actually was gonna share it with y'all one day, and I just never got around to it. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'll play the video. I was going through some stuff, and I came across my old video of me being tased. I have to find it though, and I was like, man, I'm gonna show it to y'all so y'all can see. I was screaming though. I don't know if Dre still got his video being tased, but I still have mine. Let me see. I might have it. I gotta find it. It's short. You just hear me screaming. What's funny was I was late to training that day, and they ended up picking me to be the first guinea pig. And it hurts. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts, and when you get tased, your arms and your body locks up, so you can't protect your face. So when they're training us, they always tell us that as officers, we still have to be mindful where we are tasing somebody because we're responsible where they fall. So we're taught you can't tase people as they're climbing over like high objects. So if they're over a fence or if they're climbing over something, because if you tase them and they fall, hit their head, break the neck, you're responsible for them. We're not supposed to tase people near water, near like a pool and things like that, because they lock up. Their body locks up. They can't swim. They can drown. So this is what they talk about during training. We sign off on this. I can't be the only one getting that quality level of training. Now, I would train and practice and be like, okay, I took it seriously because I knew if I made a mistake, I could go to jail. I can go to prison. So I took it seriously. And what we see so often, it just seems like officers just kind of, they go through the motions and just kind of like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But, I can't speak for all officers, but I can speak to what we're taught. And then what's not being done. I wonder where that video is though. I had it, kept it right on the desktop too for this right here. Damn, it'd have been nice to play it. All right, let me see. What's the next question? Shout out to your brother in NYPD. They be going through it up there. Dre said that tastes no. Chunk 2 says, question, has any black man ever got away after 3 police officers are trying to cuff him? If he got away, they would have shot him. I don't understand why black men run. If he got away, would they have shot him? If they would have shot him, I mean, the officers would be going to prison. The people, listen, there are black folks who've been running from the police from the beginning of time, and it's not uncommon for people to run from the cops. The problem is how officers deal with it in that moment, right? Like how officers actually, what tactics are the officers using to apprehend the suspect? That's what gets officers in trouble, when you're not using the proper application of the tools, or you're not using the proper takedown methods. That's what gets you in trouble. I've gotten in trouble for some simple stuff that never even put anybody in harm's way. But because there's a policy that says you can't do something, whether even by accident. Yeah. So in this situation, I've had suspects. It ain't happened to me, but I know suspects who ran from officers who were sitting on the ground handcuffed. I know suspects who escaped from the back of police cars. I know suspects who've stolen police cars while in handcuffs. So it ain't happened to me. I don't play those games, man. I don't play that. So but there are plenty of black men who run from the police all the time, and they're apprehended without incident. Without incident. So I don't think he would have been shot. Queen Sam, shout out to you, says, were you maced too for work? Oh yeah, I was maced. I was pepper sprayed. That, we call it devil's piss. That is the most painful. I'd rather get tased than get pepper sprayed, because at least when the taser's done, you're free, your body's free, you're relaxed. Let me see if I can find. Let me see. I gotta have that video in here somewhere, so y'all can see. Y'all probably need a good laugh tonight after this was kind of intense. Taser, keyboard's a little backwards. What letter is that? I have a video that I put up with me being tased. It's in there somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. Okay, that's what's his name. Where is this under? Oh snap! I may have found it, y'all. I found it. I found it. All right, so this is me being tased, you guys. I found it. This is where I put it. All right, let me see and play this video. All right, y'all want to see the video of me being tased? I'm gonna show it. You're gonna get the. I wonder if it'll play. Let's see if it plays. And then I have a video on the channel in the library with me being pepper sprayed. I went through the whole, explain the whole thing. Let me see if I can find that real quick too. And you guys can keep throwing your questions up. If you have a question in reference to this case, we'll go for another like 20 minutes. But let me see if I can find it under. Let me see if I can find the video of me being tased. I mean, pepper spray. It's under the. I have so many videos now. Let me see. I don't know what it would be under. I have to find that. I'm gonna have to put it in the chat after this. I'm gonna have to look for it. Let me see. Damn, I don't know where. I got like 300 videos. I'm gonna find it. But I did a video showing kind of what that process looked like, because I was telling a whole story about the spray and why the training was important, and how I ended up getting sprayed in an incident trying to arrest somebody, and the suspect tried to go for my gun. And so I told that story to the audience. This was like 2 years ago. I shared it with everybody, and then I made the video, and then I showed what the training looked like of being sprayed. So I just have to find it. I don't know. I'd have to go through the catalog and look. But I definitely, now that you mentioned, I'm like, damn, I would love to kind of put that link so you guys could see it. Let me see if I can do 50 videos at a time. It's definitely like towards it's an old video. Let me just see if I can do a little power scroll real quick. Let's see what I can find. Yeah, check out the merch too, you guys. I have a link to the merchandise. Let me see if it's on here. I know it's all. They should have a button where you can just go all the way to the back. I'm gonna find it though. I'm gonna find it. What was going on? I'm trying to think what was going on during that time. Let me see if I can find it. Found it. All right, here we go. Let me see. So this is the pepper spray video. I'm gonna put it on here if you guys want to take a look at it. The link is in the someone said volume up. You wrong. All right, let me save these questions. I'm gonna show this real quick so you guys can see. Share this tab instead. Let me save these questions real quick, and we'll come back to the questions. She said volume up. Take a quick look. Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's one of my old videos. Don't judge me. Translate. Talk about the house. Let me fast forward. You guys, this is your. So this is that's me.
Oh, Mr. Daly.
So let me give you backstory. So this is during the academy. They made us run so that we can open up our pores. So we open up our pores. So then when the spray, the chemical gets on you, it's absorbed through your pores. And that way it has a stronger effect. This is what my training looked like. This is a snippet of my extensive training over 6 months. One of the longest academies for a police officer. One could argue that 6 months is not a long time. It's not enough time for an officer to wield the level of power that we wield on this job. I believe police training should be a minimum of 2 years. But our training was top tier, one of the best in the state of Georgia. So we had some amazing instructors. But this is our training. So we had to run. We got sprayed. We had to then defend and protect our gun while spray was in our face. Then we had to go and actually fire 2 rounds on a target with our eyes open. And so, you guys, this training, one could argue, saved my life in a moment where I was sprayed on the job and I had the chemicals and I had to fight through that. Maintain my gun because the suspect was going for my gun. He actually had his hand on my gun. I contemplated shooting him, but couldn't because I couldn't see. And there were people in the backdrop as well. I was afraid that I might miss because I couldn't see and that I would have hit someone. And so I decided to keep the gun in my holster and defend the gun and protect it from being removed. So you guys, this is what the training looked like. So just give you a little clip and then we'll get back to I'll show you the video of me being tased.
Come on, Samurai! Mr. Daly. How about those lips on a person? Those lips about to get fried.
And that's me.
Get on the ground!
Woo, PTSD, boy.
Get on the ground, David. Hey, somebody grab the bag! Go grab the bag! Somebody!
Come on, Daly! He's fighting, boys. He's fighting.
They was just jealous. So you guys, this is my training. And what they're doing, there's two officers. Their job is to forcefully take your gun away from you and then shoot you with it. Right? Shoot you with your gun. That was the training. Right? That's the training. Now the gun is the rounds in this particular gun. It's a training gun. I forgot what we call it, but it's they hurt when you get shot with it. It's paintball. It's like a paintball round. And the projectile is being pushed out with gunpowder. So it hurts when it hits you. So it doesn't feel good. So if your gun is taken from you, the officer's orders, sim rounds, thanks, Troy. The officer's order is to shoot you with your own weapon, right? So that's the exercise that we did to try to make it as realistic as possible. That if you were on the street and you were fighting for your life and the suspect managed to get your gun, you're dead. Game over. Game over. This is the training that I went through. You guys, in this training saved my life on a multitude of times. I can count probably 6 or 7 times where I was defending my life. Defending my life. So you see these two officers, or these are two cadets. Their job is to take your weapon. My job is to defend it based on the training that they trained me on how to do it. Right? This is the seriousness of the job, you guys.
Fight, Daley! Come on, Daley! Come on!
This is so bad.
Get up, Daley!
Stand up. Let's go. Open your eyes. Open real quick. Get up. Get up, Daley. Come on. Good. Don't give up. Don't give up. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Fight it. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. All right. Flash. Come on, Flash. Come on, Daley. Flash. Stop it. Don't run. Flash. Get it together. I made him fight. Stop. I need your help.
All right, Simon.
Danny! Mama Danny! Hey, get some Danny! There you go, Danny! Come on, man!
You guys, that's oof. Ah, man, bring back memories, man. Brings back memories. You know, shout out to the 82nd. Some real warriors right there. Great memories, you guys. Great memories. Some tough memories. Some difficult memories, but stronger because of it. You know, stronger because of it. For those who don't know, Dre's also in my academy class. Boy, we were some. Woo! That stuff burns. That stuff burns. Let me show you a quick video of the taser. Dre, did you ever open that email I sent you? That video with Miles playing cards? Man, I got some good footage of my academy classmates. I'm a star. I stumbled upon it. I was cleaning up some stuff, looking for some old case files or whatever for court, and I came across a flash drive with some old videos and pictures of my coworkers. So I got super excited, just kind of going back down memory lane. So I sent one of the videos to Dre. So I don't know if he checked it yet. Oh, you showed it to him? All right, bet. Dre said he showed it to him. Man, we had a good time. Yeah, this is like boot camp. It was. We're trained by 2 Marines, 3 Marines, I think. 3. Trained by 3 Marines. So they definitely made it feel like it was like like we were in the damn military. Let me see. Let me get to these questions real quick. Ty G says, what do you think about qualified immunity? Does it aid this behavior? Qualified immunity is for civil actions. And the officer has to violate clearly established law for their qualified immunity to be revoked, right? I'll explain it real quick for those. Some people don't really quite understand qualified immunity. Qualified immunity, unfortunately, is set up to protect good and bad officers. And it's also set up to protect officers who are not being honest. So that's where the problem with qualified immunity lies, is that it's over encompassing and it's so well rounded that you can insulate officers even when they intentionally do wrong, because they can simply just be disingenuous. So it's not set up. It gives the officer too much leverage. And so that's the issue with qualified immunity. Will qualified immunity protect these officers? No. No, because it's clearly established that you can't use excessive force. When clearly established means, did we already talk about this? So perfect example I always like to give, because it's a great question, is like you're disciplining a child. If your child turns on the stove and then puts their hand on top of the stove, as a parent, do you beat them? It's the first time, or do you teach them? Qualified immunity says, did you teach the officers first before you punish them? And so qualified immunity says, because you never taught the officers, it's not fair to punish them. That's the problem with qualified immunity. Well, that's how qualified immunity works. The problem with qualified immunity is they become so, they change the parameters to fit the narrative. That's why I say qualified immunity is too over encompassing, meaning they say, okay, you told the officers not to touch the stove, and he touched the stove and he got burned, so we're going to punish you. Well, then they say, well, hold on, we got qualified immunity. Then you say, well, no, qualified immunity doesn't work because I've already told you not to do it. But then you say, yeah, but last time the officers touched the stove with their bare hands. This time they touched the stove with gloves on and got burned. So because the way qualified immunity is set up, it says, okay, because of that unique factor that you just added on with the gloves, then that never happened before. So we can't punish you. That's the problem. It takes away from the common sense reality that this was still a blatant, obvious wrongdoing. Whether the shirt was on, shirt was off, whether the officers used 2 fingers or 3 fingers, but because those little minute details, they then use it as an excuse to justify that the officers didn't know. This situation is unique, right? Instead of looking at the fact that this is just unlawful behavior and the officer should have known that this was unacceptable based on all previous cases, they try to use very specific variables to make it seem like it's different, when in actuality, it actually really isn't. And that's how they use it to protect officers. And that's what's bad about it. Is it necessary to have? Yes, officers do need a level of protection when they are lawfully doing their job properly. These officers should have known that that was excessive force. So because it's so blatantly obvious that it is excessive, I don't see qualified immunity protecting them. And I don't know what other facts that they have, right? So this is just based off of what we have and what we've seen. So, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. It goes both ways. Great question. Lovely Bird's Nest says, so if an officer is responsible for what happens after using the taser, could the officer possibly be responsible for his mouth? Yes and no. They look at the entire situation, right? He attempted to tase him once. He was over the grass. One could argue it was still everything was kind of in the heat of the moment. So they look at the intentionality. Was the officer acting in good faith? If you're running on the street, you're going to land on your face. The officer warned him, right? We're supposed to give warning. If you don't stop, you're going to be tased. You're going to be tased. We're supposed to give people warnings. There's a reason why those things are in the policy. It's there to help us. Because now if he turns around and says, yeah, I messed my mouth up. Hey, did the officer let you know he's going to be tased? Yeah, I heard him. Okay. Well, on the video camera, it shows, you can hear the officer say, I'm going to tase you. I'm going to tase you. If you don't stop, you're going to get tased. So then now you put that responsibility back on the suspect. Where it becomes negligent is when they are expecting the officer to know that, say you're chasing a suspect and they're running across the interstate and there's active vehicles going. And as you're running, there isn't, but you know cars are coming and you tase him, boom, and he drops and gets hit by a car. The officer's going to be responsible because the officer should have known that that wasn't a good place and time to actually activate the taser. So the officers are there's a responsibility to utilize the tools properly. And it goes, your hands are tools as well. So the responsibility of knowing when to use them as an officer, you have discretion, but your discretion has to be reasonable. The level has to be reasonable. We're also not allowed to tase people while they're driving a vehicle, while they're having physical control over the vehicle, for obvious reasons. You'll still have officers that'll try to do it and they get in trouble because of the danger that you put the person in if they're tased. They can kill themselves. This is why even with Kim Potter, you guys see, I just put a recent post about her coming out of prison, looking like, death walking. She wanted to tase him. He was in the driver's seat. Policy says you can't even do that. So she was wrong twice. You wanted to tase the man while he's in the driver's seat. You're not even allowed to do that. So this is what I'm talking about. Officers who are just so piss poorly trained that they can't even keep up with their own policies. And great question. I don't think they're going to consider that to be excessive. I think, that was all appropriate use of force. That taser, absolutely appropriate. Where's Crump and Merrick hiding? The brother didn't get killed. It seemed like them guys only deal when black men are killed by the police who are white. That's kind of where they focus their most attention. Let me see. Where we at? Last video I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you a little treat. I'll show you the whatchamacallit. Also, you guys, listen, if I'll probably, matter of fact, honestly, I might even try to reach out to Mr. Woods' legal team. I might reach out to his legal team and let them know if you're interested in an officer, an expert witness for your case. I'll try this case with them. You guys, I'm putting in the chat, for those who don't know, this is my my website for my consultation page. And that goes out for you guys too. If you need, people reach out to me a lot on Instagram and wanting consultation for their cases, whether it's just advice on a case, whether it's, I don't give legal advice, but a lot of times they want to know about the proper procedures, how to handle certain things. Some people are in communities, they're in states, they're in cities, rural towns where the police operate with impunity. Sheriff's department operate like they are God's gift to the world, and that the citizens of the community are subservient to them. They are people who are power drunk out here in these uniforms, you guys, and folks don't know how to deal with it. It's sad, and those things need to be addressed. And that's not all police department, but one is too many. One is too many. So if that's you and you have one of those situations, you guys, my link is in there. It's in there. It'll be in this video, under the description for the video as well. But I think I'm going to reach out since I'm actually certified to work in Florida now. So it seems like Florida's been having a whole lot of law enforcement cases, but this is a good one. This is actually a good one. And I tell people all the time, like, it's nothing wrong being honest about police, like a police encounter. It is what it is. We need better quality officers, and the only best way to start is by having the conversation. Taji says, although I do agree that officers are poorly trained and equipped, bad culture sours any proper training. Yeah, I mean, it is the bad culture. Absolutely. I mean, the culture, everything. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and it can be fixed. But then we also can't excuse citizen behavior, because the citizen behavior has a lot to do with this too as well. As citizens, we can't instigate our own injuries, right? Can't instigate our own deaths by doing foolishness out here as well. Like, we have to be, there's a certain level of understanding on how to deal with the police properly as well, in order to keep ourselves safe. That's one thing that can't be understated. Another thing too is citizens need to know their rights, understand how to actually articulate their rights. Because here's one thing I will say is Mr. Woods is going to get paid. He's going to get paid. I watched the press conference and they want to talk about his criminal history and things that he's done. Look, I'm clear on it. And I'm not saying he's a saint, right? He probably isn't. This has nothing to do with the encounter though, right? You guys, I don't really care. I'm pretty sure he's done some stuff he had no business doing in the past or even in the present. But it doesn't justify what the officers did. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. I've put to jail a lot of scumbags, you guys. But if they cooperate and they don't give me no problems, they don't get any problems. As it should be. You know, as it should be. I've put handcuffs on the people that you could ever think of. People I wish I could. But guess what? People I wish would have did something. I'm like, oh, I wish you would. I wish you would just. But you guys, listen, man, when people comply as officers, you also have to comply to the law, to policy. Someone say comply to survive. Officers need to comply to strive, right? We need to comply too. There's things we need to comply to as officers. We're not above not complying. Comply to the Constitution, officer. Comply to the policy, officer. That's your responsibility. Citizens comply with lawful legal commands. Officers comply to the Constitution. And the world will be a better place. Was one of the officers that did the beating black? I watched the news clip and one of them in the blue pants looked black. So the officer in the Navy blue pants, he looked like he's like either biracial, maybe Hispanic. He was giving me like, I don't want to just name anything, but he looked like he had some ethnicity about him, maybe Spanish. He looked maybe kind of like a Cuban kind of thing. This is Florida, so you know. But no, there was definitely some melanin in him, for sure. That was the one who came in with the flying knees, right? So yes, that one there definitely did not. He didn't look white at all. So I'm not really sure what though. Shout out to you, Brian says, question. So would you say it's always best to comply even though you feel you are in the right? Absolutely. 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 Even when you're in the right. I mean, you can express and let them know, hey, I feel like I'm being violated. Hey, you're violating my, hey, you know, you don't have a right to do that. Doesn't mean you physically resist, right? Doesn't mean that you can verbally express yourself, let people know, hey, I need to speak to a supervisor right now. I don't feel like you have the lawful reason to do that. Oh, I don't care. How about you put your hands behind your back? Okay. The moment them hands touch together and them handcuffs go on, guess what? Cha-ching. Cha-ching. That's all you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about where you're going for the summer. You need to think about what country you want to go to. It's congratulations, you're about to get paid. You guys, these cities are paying money from officers trampling on people's rights. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm saying don't die over it. I don't agree with it. I'm saying it's not worth getting killed over it. Being beat to death over it. You can be, see, this is what it is. Some of y'all want to be right. Some of y'all end up being dead right. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So I say comply to survive. What's the worst that can happen if you comply? I can tell you what happens if you don't comply. You're going to get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. Trying to convince an officer who is ignorant of the law that he or she's enforcing, you're gonna fight them? Nah. I show you videos of people who get arrested all the time for officers violating their rights. And they come back and do a video and talk about the check they just made. Oh, the city's settling for $60,000. Oh, the city's gonna settle with me for $125,000. You guys take the check. This man got beat almost to death, and he's gonna get paid because of it. But he could have died. But and it's all became he resisted arrest. And he didn't have to. He was already caught. This is what I'm talking about. You're already caught. So why make it even worse? You guys, yes, he did it to himself. He did. But it does not justify what happened. It doesn't. Absolutely doesn't. Two things can exist at the same time. The officers are going to be in trouble behind this. As soon as the DOJ gets a hold of it, it's over. The sheriff can say what he wants to say. If the Department of Justice gets a hold of this case, these officers they're done. They're being charged. They're getting fired and they're going to be charged. Mark my words on this video. You can't do that. You just can't. When they're not attacked. Again, the only way that this is going to be appropriate use of force is if Mr. Woods was actually assaulting the officers. They beat on him as if Mr. Woods was winning the fight. He got beat like he was getting the best of the officers. But when you watch the video, you don't see any of that. I'm just talking about what I see from the video that the few that they decided to put out. They beat him as if he was beating them up. That's how they beat him. All I saw was a man laying down and not cooperating. And the officers damn near beat the life out of him. Not justified. Absolutely not justified. So I need a consultation. Hit me up. You got the link. Hit me up. Hit me up. Brian says, question, I agree. Just do what you're asked to do and handle the rest in court. Facts. There's no shame in that, you guys. Mr. Woods is going to get paid. Who was the gentleman? This was in, I forgot what city. I mean, we have so many of these cases that get brought up. The one who was fighting the police, he got shot in the back and he got paid. He was the one who was reaching and he had a warrant for his arrest. This was after the George Floyd. He had a warrant for his arrest. And he got a warrant for a domestic violence case, sexually assaulted a lady, his girl, baby mama, something like that. And he was trying to take the kids in the car from the mom. The officers were trying to arrest him. He fought the police. They tased him. He shrugged it off. He tried to get in the car. He was resisting arrest. Right? Can't even remember his name. Can't even remember the case. But he opens the car door and he starts reaching underneath the seat of the car and they lit him up. They lit him up. Put him in a wheelchair. You guys, permanently in a wheelchair. But guess what? He got paid. Was it worth it? That's what I'm saying. You're already in the wrong. You're going to gamble with some officers who may or may not know how to do their job properly, who may or may not have the physical skill set to detain you when you're unarmed. You're going to gamble with that? Absolutely not. The most dangerous officer is an officer who can't fight, because he's always going to pull that gun out. Always going to pull that gun out. I think it was like 4 officers couldn't detain one man. Whew. You asking to get shot. You're asking for it. And what the officer say? Well, I fear for my life. He got the best of me. And the court's going to be like, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Salute to you, brother. Salute to you. Salute to you. Shout out to the lead. Shout out to the lead. You know, y'all already know his channel. I ain't gotta shout him out. Lead attorney. Shout out to you, brother. Always dropping wisdom. Always dropping wisdom. You know. So in this particular case, I think, you know, you guys, you have to weigh your options. You can be right, or you can be dead right. It's not worth it. You know, yeah, you're gonna get paid, but at what expense? Your health, your life. Some of these guys lose their life and then their parents get the check. You know, and I know this is not all cases, but unfortunately, we see this too often where you're already caught. There's no need for you to resist. You know, the officers are doing a great job up until Officer 2 showed up with that level of aggression. It was unnecessary. Then Officer 3 showed up and started planting elbows on his face. 3 elbows to the face, 3 knees to the face. You guys, and the entire time his hands were already behind his back. Though he wasn't handcuffed, they had complete control over his arms. The first thing I'm going to say is, what does the training say you should do in this situation? Oh, according to the training, I'm looking at the book because I have access to it. It says that you could have used level of pain compliance, could have used joint manipulations, right? You could have used tactics where you could have manipulated the wrist. Sir, how much do you weigh? Oh, 210. Sir, your arms look like the size of my thigh. You mean to tell me you couldn't manipulate one arm that you had on the suspect and you couldn't pull that arm and put it behind his back? Is that what you're telling me, sir? Sir, how much do you bench press, sir? Oh, I bench press 230. And you couldn't take one limb off of this person and put it behind their back? Is that what you're telling me, sir? But sir, according to the video, you had access to his arm with both hands on. And you're telling me you couldn't put this, you couldn't, sir, how much does the suspect weigh? 155. That brother's thin. 165 at best. And here you are walking around here looking like Commando Action Jackson. And you mean to tell me 3 of you guys could not use any other tactic to detain him besides elbows and knees? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's all we saw in that video. The problem is he wasn't physically resisting the officers. That's what's going to get them sent up. That's what's going to put the nail in these officers' coffin. The fact that none of the videos show him assaulting the officers. None of them. There's no justification. No justification. When you saw that man's face, you would have thought he was wearing these officers out. That's what I thought. I was like, damn, what happened? I was like, man, he must have been wearing these officers out. Then I saw the video. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. Prison. You guys, qualified immunity is not gonna protect these officers. Mark my words. Absolutely not. Especially now in this time where people are really examining these police encounters. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is gonna be an interesting case. I'm gonna reach out to the attorney. Anybody who knows them, if you know or access to the victim / suspect, Mr. Woods, reach out to him. They're looking for an expert. I'll get on that stand and tighten the state up. I always like to see all the evidence, because I'm telling you now, in that video right there, and we slowed it down, you guys. We watched the whole thing for those who catching the tail end of this. We slowed the video down. All I see is a man either trying to get up off the ground, but they've always had access to at least one arm. At least one arm. All I'm saying, and there's plenty of other options that the officers could have utilized besides going to that extent of assault. There's nothing reasonable about it. So this is interesting. She said, I don't think those officers will be charged. You don't think, or you don't, or you know they won't be charged. Said they followed a use of force progression. So you guys, there's what we have, what we call a use of force continuum, meaning that basically there's a progression of how we use force based on how a suspect may escalate a level of resistance and or level of force. Again, like I told you, there's three main levels. There's passive, right? Means you're just really not doing anything. You're just not complying, right? You're not a threat to the officers. You're just being difficult. Then you have active resistance. That means you're actually struggling with the officers, but you're not a threat. You're not a threat with active resistance. You're just trying to break away. You just don't want to go to jail. An officer can use force when you're actively resisting. So according to this comment, this person's absolutely correct. You can use force to get compliance. The issue is not that the officers use force, Natty Bala. The problem is they used excessive force. That's the conversation. The conversation is not whether or not force is okay to use. You can use force. That's why he got tased in the back. You can do that. That's appropriate. There is appropriate and then there's inappropriate levels of force. That's what the conversation is about. Whether or not this force was excessive. This isn't whether or not the force is legitimate. Force is legitimate because the person was resisting arrest. When you resist arrest, officers can use a level of force that is objectively reasonable. Objectively reasonable. And with a reasonable amount of force in order to gain compliance. When you watch the video and then you look at the injuries to his face, if we've forgotten, just to be clear, all right, let's be clear. If we've forgotten what his face looked like, ma'am, sir, I don't know who. Just so we realize what we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about objectively reasonable. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you that force is okay. But this isn't about whether or not force is okay. Force is okay to use force. The question is how much force? How much force? Force doesn't look good. Force looks ugly. I agree too with that. But this right here, based on the video, doesn't add up. In order to use this level of force, he needs to be bringing a level of force to the officers. He needs to be a threat to the officers. These officers escalated the force way beyond the level of force that was being presented to them. That's the problem. That's the problem. Just so we're all clear. And the damage to him looks like this because he wasn't free to defend himself. Why was that? Because they had both of his arms behind his back. They had access to his arms and they were still assaulting him. That's the issue. To be completely clear, that's actually what the problem is. That's the problem. Look right here. This is a perfect example right here. Punched in the face. Look at his face. The question is that necessary? Is it reasonable for an officer to punch him in the I mean, and that blood right there from his mouth, that's just from the fall. But here's the problem. What the second officer should have did was immediately went for his other arm. But what did this officer do? This is what he did. He should have controlled his head and pulled the arm from up under him. But what does he do? He goes into kneeing him in the face. He goes to kneeing him in the face. See, that level of force doesn't add up. My question to you is the suspect an active threat at the moment? Is he a threat? Is he an active threat to the officers? So you got a jury is going to look at this, right? Someone's going to look at this and say, I don't know. The officer isn't grabbing his hands and trying to get his hands behind his back. He's kneeing him in the face. He made no attempts to try and detain him. He went immediately to assaulting him when his partner was never being assaulted. He's having a hard time getting handcuffs on him. So you're supposed to focus on putting handcuffs on him. You want to beat him senseless to where he's lifeless so you can put handcuffs on him. And that's not how it works, you guys. Right? We don't beat them into submission. That's not how the job works, right? Four knee strikes to the face. He still doesn't even grab his arm. Right? He pins his face down. What'd you do all that for? He makes no attempts to grab his arm. They're not putting any body weight on him. They're not doing anything. They don't know what to do. You guys, this is just an assault against the suspect who just simply wasn't complying. That level of force is not appropriate. They're telling him to put his hands behind his back. All the while, already kneeing him in the face. He probably was already suffering from a concussion from hitting the ground initially. And you probably just sent him deeper into that concussion. But I mean, I'm just saying, just based off of this, there is no effort. There was no real effort to actually really detain him properly. Then you have officers have both hands. You have an officer on the left side. You have an officer on the right side. They have both hands. Now, granted, he's still resisting, right? But look at this. This officer, they are trying. This is the problem with this case. They're trying to beat him into submission. That's what this is about. This is what's happening. They're beating him into submission. You guys, that is not how we do the job. This is not how it's supposed to be done. This is against policy. Nowhere in policy does it say that you can beat a suspect into submission. This is not the MMA. You don't beat the dog shit out of somebody and turn them over and get on them and then someone count to 3. That's not how this works. But that's what we're seeing. We're seeing them. They can detain him because there's enough of them there. But their tactic that they're using is we're going to beat him until he's simply kind of limp to where there's no physical resistance. He doesn't have the energy to resist. But no, So you have this officer here, Officer Knees. He has two hands on him already. The officer on the left, that you can't see off screen, has his left arm behind his back. This officer has the arm already. He's sitting on his neck and he's elbowing him in the face. You guys, I'm sorry. They're getting charged. Look at his arm. It's here. They have him pinned down to the ground and they're just assaulting him. They're not making a coordinated effort to properly detain him. You guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. And then look, look where his arms are. Why are you elbowing him in the face and his arm is right here? I mean, you guys could see it, right? I'm not making this up. It says, so what, a use of force continuum. Aren't officers able to go one level above the perceived threat? Yes, we are able to go above the perceived threat. Based on this video, what is the perceived threat? Based on this video, though, is what I'm saying. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right. I'm saying based on this video, where is the perceived threat in this video? That's where these issues, this is where the officer's going to have to explain themselves. Can you show me in the video on your body cam, officer, where he was an active threat to you and your partner? So hold on. You beat him like this because it was difficult for you to get his hands behind his back? So you felt it was appropriate to knee him in the face 4 times? Okay, hold on. So you guys had access to both of his arms at this point. You had access to both of his arms, officer, and you thought it was okay to elbow him in the face? At what point in this was he a threat? And so to your question, you're correct. We're able to go above, one level above a perceived threat. The problem is there is no threat. You're able to go above a resistance level, but this resistance level that we're seeing, which we all watching the video of, this level of resistance is what we call active resisting. But in active resisting, it doesn't mean that you're a threat because you're simply trying to get away. There's no threat. The officers are trying to beat him into submission. And that's unlawful, you guys. I'm telling you, as someone who's done the job, I have beaten on people who were real threats. And I could show you where someone's life was in danger, mine or somebody else's. And they got beat that way because they were trying to take my life. And I could show it. And when you watch the video, you are in agreement. You are in this video we're watching. I don't see why the officers use that level of force. It's not reasonable. When they are strong enough, all 3 of them, where they could have manipulated his arms physically and detained him without having to use that level of force. The issue is not force, it's the level of force that they use. It's the excessive force. It's the force that they use was unreasonable. And here's the thing, where these officers, or the one with the knee, could possibly get an aggravated assault charge. Because one could even argue that the officer should know, and we are trained that any attacks to the head can be potentially lethal. Can be lethal. And we are trained not to do certain attacks to the head because we know it can be lethal. So unless the level of resistance comes at a threat of an officer's life, you really stay away from the head, you guys. Just like you stay away from the neck. So if you can't articulate in a way that somebody's life was in danger, you guys, I don't ever go to the head on a suspect unless my life is in danger. Why? Because you can kill him. You can kill him. The reason why this is not justified is because Woods was not fighting the officers. He wasn't fighting. Daughter, y'all, thank you. Jacob Blake. Yeah, that's the case. Yep, Jacob Blake. That's the case I was referring to about the gentleman who was shot in the back. And he sued and he won. He won because of what? Excessive force. Right? Unreasonable and excessive force. So he's getting elbowed in his face while the officer has him pinned down at his neck. You could have pinned him down on his neck while the other officers worked the arms. The elbow strikes weren't necessary. Right? This whole thing comes down to it's just not necessary, you guys. Just not necessary. Let me just say, it ain't no threat. Some people just like to abuse their power. That is a fact. That is a fact. Shout out to you, Minchi. That is a fact. That was interesting. That was interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them. See what his attorney said. They're looking for an officer, be an expert witness. I said I'm already certified in Florida. I'll definitely go out there. Definitely fly out there. This is actually going to be a very good case. Very sad. Again, this has nothing to do, with what he did, what he's alleged that he did. As officers, we still have a job to do, and we still are obligated to do the job properly. That just is what it is. Let me see any questions that I missed, and then we're gonna shut it down. Shout out to you, said Nathan, if you say that the taser stops you to almost paralysis, how was he to comply with placing his arms to his back for cuffing? Yeah, that's a great question. So in situations like that, we're supposed to give people commands while after that, we're supposed to give them an opportunity to comply, right? So a lot of times they teach us to actually try and initiate the handcuffing process while they are undergoing the actual, they call it a cycle, while they're going through the cycle of being tased. So you're all stiffened up. That is the time we're supposed to actually be activating the handcuffs. Because the officer is by himself, you'll see him, he's standing above him and he's like, hey man, get down, don't move, put your hands behind your back. And you see, obviously he's delirious, but at the same time, there's a possibility he's still a threat potentially because he could be armed and the officer doesn't know that. So you still have to treat that situation very carefully as an officer. And in the moment, he's like, okay, he knows eventually he can't tase him again. He just needs to start getting hands on. So that was the opportunity for them to do that. But that's a great question. But the cycle on majority of these tasers that we use, especially that particular model, it's the one that I used, it only lasts between 5 seconds, sometimes the max 10 seconds, depending on what department you work for, but on average 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, you're going through that tase. Let me see. I can show you my incident actually. Could play it. So yeah, I can see what it looks like because I was kind of screaming. All right, let me see. Great question. By the way. So yeah, they give you commands because you can hear clearly you're just in a lot of pain. Let me see if I can find the video. It's gonna be quick, you guys. It's gonna be quick. Y'all ready? It's gonna be quick. I wonder if it'll play. Let me see. The browser's having trouble. I think the video, the file can't play. All right, no worries. Next time, I'm gonna figure out a way to put it. I'm gonna have to download it and then on YouTube. Anyways, that's it for tonight, you guys. Listen, I know it was a lot to cover. Very graphic video. Thank you for your patience. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section for those who are gonna probably catch this video on the replay. I want to know your thoughts Do you believe this was excessive? Do you believe the officers were justified in carrying out this level of force? And, just want to know your thoughts. What do you think? And I guess we'll see as more information comes out about this incident when the sheriff's department actually releases the body cam footage that matters, the one involving the actual officers who actually use that level of force. Those are the ones that we don't have access to. Those are the ones that we need to see. We can kind of see in more detail if he was assaulting. I mean, again, I didn't see it in this video. Is there something that's missing? I don't know. I haven't seen all the evidence. But from what I've seen, you guys, he was not assaulting the officers. This was active resistant at best. At best. I mean, it's borderline passive active. But are there things the officers could have done? Did they take it too many steps above the use of force? I believe so. I believe it was excessive. And so we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. With that, you guys, I hope you found this information invaluable. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, and share this video. And let me know if you have any questions. With that, let these truths find you where the lies have left you. Good night. God bless.